Guys, welcome to Money Chats. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited today. So I met this guy online after this event called FinCon that we were both at, but we didn't get to meet in person there. His channel, his brand is Your Friend Andy. I don't even know Andy's last name. We're about to find out. I don't know. I don't even know if that's all that important because the brand is Your Friend Andy, which is so likable. Look at this real quick. Let me show you this intro of his video. So gotta love that. Tells you a little bit about his personality. The guy's witty. I like it. I love the content that he's putting out. I think it's super fun and super informative. We're gonna talk all things affiliate marketing, YouTube. We're definitely gonna be talking crypto. We're just gonna have a conversation. You guys are welcome to join us. So this is gonna be live on YouTube. You're welcome to hop in if you want to throw in comments. We possibly will interact with some of those. So anytime you want to, feel free to jump in, but sit back, relax, and then I'm going to bring Andy in just a moment. All right, let's bring Andy in, man. Andy, what is up, my man?
Hey, dude. How's it going?
It's
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Love those jams.
Do you like that? Is that the little tune gets you going, doesn't it? Does it
It
not?
does. That's how you start your mornings right there.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, so question: do you want people to know your last name, or do you just want to go by Your Friend Andy?
Your friend Andy works for me.
I mean, I love it. I mean, I think it's I kind of wish I'm kind of jealous of the branding that you've got going there because mine like Destroy the Box is a branding feature that I'm going by, but it does not include my name. Like Your Friend Andy is just so likable, friendly. I instantly felt like I kind of knew you. I'm watching your channel. I'm like, that's genius. Like what you have going with that, I think is, first of all, it's really cool. So Your Friend Andy,
Thanks,
man.
man.
I love
I
it.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of those things where I was trying to come up with names, and once upon a time, for whatever reason, I actually purchased the URL, yourfriendandy.com. This is probably, I don't know, 5 or even 10 years ago. So I'm
Yeah.
like, how about I just use that thing? And then here we are.
I love it. Okay, so you had it. So you had it a long time ago. Okay, and you so your YouTube channel that you've got going now is not your first one. Like you have a background of video production, movie. Like you have another channel, correct? Like multiple channels.
Yeah, so this is my second channel. My first channel is called Burger Fiction, and it is wildly more popular than my current channel. I started that with my friend Jonathan, like in 2015, I think,
Okay.
and it's lots of movie supercuts and movie reviews and video essays, all cinema based stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. Got like 75 million views or something like that.
Holy smokes.
Downside to that channel is it is not the money maker.
Okay.
My current channel, Your Friend Andy, even with only 13,000 or whatever subscribers I have now, eclipses that channel by a huge margin.
That's okay. That's so interesting. So I was gonna ask, which I don't need to. Like, okay, cool. What was the motivator to create the second channel? And it sounds like you, I guess, saw an opportunity. Like, was it just like cash? Is it just money, or are you like super interested in what you've got going? I mean, obviously you were interested in this crypto stuff, man. I can tell that. So, but like, when did you decide I'm gonna launch the second channel? Did you already have it like all kind of planned out, or are you just kind of letting it go and grow organically, or like did you have all this kind of pre-planned? Like what's
Yeah, it's
happening?
just a total greed play. I just want the money, and then I don't care what happens in the process to get there. Normal stuff. No, I just personal finance, man, is something I've been into in the past decade since we had a terrible money situation, me and my wife, and then
Okay.
I had kind of had a wake up call, and then I kind of started turning our lives around, and then in that process, fell in love with money and investing, and subsequently crypto. So this is always something that was in the back of my mind, and in probably the past 2 years before I actually started Your Friend Andy, I kept thinking, "Ooh, it'd be so cool to make a channel about money and investing and everything." And I just let it sit in the back of my head like a dumb idiot instead of actually creating the thing I was wanting to create. And eventually, just the timing, pandemic happened. I had our small business Most of our clients postponed and canceled and stuff, and so we had a bunch of free time. I'm like, hey, maybe I'm gonna do that thing I wanted to do a while back and just see what happens. And I kind of set it as an experiment. I said I'll give myself a year. If I don't hit 1,000 subscribers and I don't get YouTube monetized in 1 year, well then, failed experiment. That was fun. Moving on. Well, clearly, it's been a little over a year now, but I've surpassed that goal, that milestone, and it's around for the long haul. Hopefully, it's probably going to be a shift, a career shift, if it keeps going the direction it's going.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool to hear. So, so kind of started as a pivot. Thousands of people I feel like are in your shoes. So like that's not like my story wasn't a pivot during the pandemic with one thing, but the thing with me is that I was already doing like a dozen projects. It's kind of ridiculous. Like I'm the guy that's like, I love a hustle. I love starting new things. So was I spread thin? Yes. But like when the pandemic began, like a handful literally of the things that we do or did as a staples went to nothingness, man. And I was like,
right.
Okay. Now what, And so all I did was just kind of redistributed time into some of the other projects. And so I know what you mean. So if you hit that year mark and you didn't reach the 1,000 subs, you were willing to say, cut it.
I mean, that was the plan in theory. I mean, we'll see. If I was really enjoying myself and stuff, and it had some traction, well, then that might be it for debate. But yeah, that was the plan.
Interesting, but you didn't have to, man, because you hit some growth spurt, hit some boom, and yeah, you mentioned so your Twitter feed is growing really crazy too, and so you mentioned something about your past or whatever. So like right here, you say you're 30 lessons from someone who became a millionaire in their 30s after starting 86K in debt at 29, and then you're like thread, which is really, really, really well written copy, man. Because when we get off this, I will be clicking that and reading that.
Thanks, man.
That story there. So that's cool. And I saw on Twitter now that you're officially a crypto millionaire. Which is I don't know. Does that feel? One, does it feel weird to you? Two, does money itself start? Does it feel more like funny money now to you? Like even all current, it's like even the US dollar. I don't know. I have this weird sense that that's like starting to happen in my life. That like crypto is for me is like disrupting the construct of money itself.
Yes.
Is some of that happening to you? Like in your mind? I'm just curious. Like you could say no, absolutely not, Brooks. Like crypto is this, money, US dollars is this to me. But for me, it just starts to really, the lines are starting to get really fuzzy and weird.
Yeah. So we hit millionaire status in like February of this year. That's just millionaire by net worth, all of our assets minus all of our liabilities. But then about 2 weeks ago, the crypto portfolio officially crossed into the $1 million territory just by itself. And that was incredibly weird, incredibly surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's one thing to like log into your brokerage or something and see the stocks and your index funds or whatever and see that surpass 7 figures. But, I just open my app on my phone and look at my crypto portfolio, and then there it is, 7+ figures. It does not feel real. It does feel like monopoly money to a degree. But at some point, I'm going to try to realize I will never 100% cash out of crypto, but I will realize some of those gains, and then probably move a little bit more into real estate and a few other things, and have some stuff like that. And I'm sure it'll feel a lot more real when there's multiple homes or stuff like that. But as of right now, it's a weird, wild like place to be in, and it's a very wild space. It's an incredible space full of opportunity.
So and it amazes me. So if I just look at this list, a few things that I wrote down. So see, crypto, DeFi, DSO, NFTs, DAO. So all and I don't know if it's pronounced DAO or DAO, I guess. DAO. Yeah. So all things that are different things happening right now. Most of them built on top of like blockchains. Like and most average people are like, dude, what are you talking about? Right? Like most people listening right now, by no means, I know nothing. I feel like I know like a tip of an iceberg, yet just knowing that tip of the iceberg, I feel like is an expert to the masses.
Oh, 100%.
Which is like, it's crazy. It's bonkers. And man, I was actually thinking, like, I've had it on my list for the last 3 weeks. Andy, it's funny. I almost want to call you your friend Andy instead of just Andy.
Sure, whichever one.
Whatever plays out, man. Whatever works. I for the last 3 weeks have had it on my list. Like, okay, should I spend one entire day per week not doing any normal business activity and completely diving in to all of those things that I just mentioned? Because I feel like it's moving. So
Yes.
okay, so your answer is yes. Do so okay. And you know what? It dawned on me yesterday. I was like, okay, maybe if I'm scared to do a full day, I could just say, okay, let me take 2 hours, like 2 hours of this day and just like focus fully on it. Um, so I'm like, are you at all involved in, or like DeSo is like a complete separate world of its own. Like, we're not going to go into it, but in one podcast I listened to it, and basically the intention is to like disrupt Facebook and Twitter, basically, like the current social media platforms, build them on the blockchain and basically not have advertising as like an intermediary. And I'm just like, it blows my mind, like what the potential is for the underlying technology behind is decentralized social media, basically, is what DeSo stands for. Like, have you looked at all into that?
No, I've never heard of that term until just
So
now. I mean, I know
yeah,
decentralized social media, and I know a handful of projects that are doing that, but I haven't heard DeSo before.
yeah, so that's crazy. And like I don't want to go there. The whole point is just to point out that it's crazy, like all of
Mhm.
these different things that are happening in real time. Okay, so we're gonna in a little while we're gonna talk about, I think, Helium specifically, just because
Sure.
I guess I'm kind of interested in that, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can actually wrap my head around it. So it turns out, Andy, I've got a friend that's in my town who I'm gonna also he's gonna hop on and talk with me at a future date. I think he already owns a number of the antennas. I don't know which ones. So like I pinged him and asked, like, hey, like about returns. He's like, oh, I have some that are earning 10 a day, some earning 20 a day, and like I think 150 a day or something. I was like, what the heck? Like, you have multiple of these things, like and we're talking in Mobile, Alabama. I'm like, am I missing out here? The other thing I'm going to say real quick is that he sent me a message and he said, "Oh, friends are asking me, like, when is crypto going to become mainstream?" And he just sent me a link to this article, which is why I'll just pop it in. So, Staples Center will be renamed Crypto.com Arena in 20 years, $700 million deal.
Wow.
Apparently this just happened.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I think his point is like, dude, it is mainstream. Right? Like,
To some
like
degree, yeah.
to some, yeah, like I guess on the great point on the branding front, they're trying to make it push to mainstream. I guess is probably
Mhm.
probably a better way to say that. Yeah, definitely not mainstream. But if you're putting a $700 million deal together, and then I saw this other FTX was, which is like a crypto exchange as well, I guess,
Yep.
was like the baseball World Series, like a major sponsor for those guys.
Yep.
So it's bonkers. Okay, so how quickly is this stuff moving?
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
So, I mean, your first question of should you spend one day a week or a couple hours a
Yep.
week or whatever, and the answer is yes. I believe that crypto is absolutely inevitable, and
Yep.
if you don't get on board now, you will be forced to in the future, whether you like it or not. The financial systems are going to adopt all these technologies to some degree, and you're going to be onboarded whether you want to or not. So might as well enjoy the ride, enjoy the success, and get in the growth um, while you can get in on it. So yeah, I mean, I have so every night I journal my day. I've been doing that for like 6 years, and so the past 4 years of crypto, I have lots and lots of entries. When I look, today, 1 year ago, today, 2 years ago, I see my previous entries. It oftentimes says crypto research. Sometimes it says 2 hours crypto research or looked into this part of crypto. And I look back at all that stuff and I'm like, man, I am so glad that I set aside time. And this, in my case, it was like every day where I just dove into it head first
Yep.
and I learned all this stuff. And I am not an expert. I mean, DeFi is still way, over my head. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But I know a lot more than majority of people when it
Yep.
comes to crypto. And I'm grateful that I put in the time because it has been an absolute life changer, 100%. And yeah, as far as like the mass adoption stuff, I think crypto came into the consciousness of most people in 2017, 2018. That's when it first really peaked as far as getting into the mainstream, at least as far as an idea. Everyone kind of knows the name Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that now. However,
Exactly.
true mass adoption where everybody's using this stuff, we're still a ways away from that. But it's definitely starting to gather critical mass. I think the institutional and company investments that we've seen this past year are just kind of like that's where it's really starting to pick up momentum. And when all that stuff, when everybody starts diving in, especially once we get an actual Bitcoin spot physical ETF in the United States officially approved, I think that's going to be one of those kind of floodgate moments where all of a sudden all these brokerages and retirement accounts and pensions and whatever all of a sudden have access to Bitcoin
Yeah.
and can put a 1% or 0.5% or 5% or something of those portfolios into it. That's just the market cap is going to explode.
Totally with you. So should everyone spend that time or only select people? Like, I mean, I kind of wonder how do people evaluate how much time they should look into it, or should they just find someone like, like you, like, should they just find your friend Andy and hop on your YouTube channel and watch your videos and then maybe just use the 80/20 principle, right? And say, okay, well, this guy's done this. Like, I mean, I guess that's a great thing of what you're doing. Like, you're documenting what you're doing, which is how I learned a good overview of like Helium, for example, was by watching some of your YouTube videos and then just kind of take action from there, or do you think people should like try to dig in deep themselves and figure out the recipe of the cookie, or should they just try to get a cookie and take a bite?
Cookies are delicious.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, ideally, yeah, people would understand what the hell they're doing, but I mean, do people like look into their 401ks or their retirement accounts and know what the investment they're actually investing in? Most people don't care about any of that stuff. They just do the things that they're supposed to do, and they don't even do that, but they do some of the things that
That's
they're
true.
supposed to do automatically or whatever with retirement accounts and investing and stuff. They don't ever think about it. They don't know what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great if everybody understood these things. But I think if they watch a video or they spend 15 minutes reading an article and they're like, oh, this seems like the future, that's probably good enough to start. And then if they want to dig any deeper than that, that's cool. But I think if there's any part of their psyche that goes, maybe this is worth having a little exposure to, well, then just jump in and in some capacity, and then maybe understand it more later, or don't, or just go with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's for me, I kind of battle that myself, right? Because it's like you want a good understanding of something that you're
Mhm.
investing in, right? But I realize that like for me in business, I like all the time I'm jumping in without being an expert already, not necessarily in crypto. I mean, it's a like I feel like a lot of business is learn as you go. Like you can't be an expert when you first get going. Like for example, I guess your other channel that you have, I mean, how much experience did that give you to be able to launch this new project, right? I mean, had you started
Mhm.
this new project from scratch without any video production experience, putting together a storyline, all that kind of stuff, like, would you be as far as you are now, do you think? I mean, maybe,
No,
but,
definitely not. No, yeah,
yeah,
the having the that channel experience, having a successful channel, because that channel has 150,000 subscribers, 75 million views, and that's across like 150 videos. So
yeah,
that is 5 years of decently successful YouTube experience, knowing what people like to click on and how to make videos and stuff. And my background is in video. Like my last 9 to 5 job, I was a creative director, but mainly
oh,
focused
nice.
on doing on video stuff. So editing and production and all this stuff. I mean, even the live setup here is not half bad looking. That is big competitive advantage going into starting a new channel in space where most people have no clue about how to set up lights or have good audio or this or that. And so, yeah, I took all that experience, but I will tell you, starting a new channel has been an education in itself because I've learned a whole other aspect of YouTube that I'd never previously learned. So Burger Fiction was all about getting clicks and, kind of viral videos. Many of the videos have, millions of views.
Right.
And that's a very different ball game than trying to get people to watch videos on finance when you're small. And I've learned that finance on YouTube at first is all about search result traffic. So I've had to learn the entire SEO game on YouTube and learn how to rank in search and stuff. And I've gotten pretty good at it. I've got a lot of, top #1 rankings and top 5 rankings and stuff. But I did not know that at first. And the channel definitely suffered in the beginning because I hadn't quite learned how to do that yet. So yeah, all kinds of new skills that the new channel has taught me. But I feel like between the two, it's a very well-rounded YouTube education. Although I'm constantly adding to it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, always learning. I think it's a holdup for a lot of people that are wanting to start something. Which is like a message that I try to give to people is like, man, get a certain amount of education and then get rolling.
Yep.
And then improve as you go. And I know that everyone doesn't subscribe to that that idea. I just think it's so beneficial because otherwise, like I have so many personal friends, Andy, that will just they want to launch something. They've talked about it for years. I mean, I'm still hearing them say like, oh yeah, I'm getting this together to launch this. I'm like, dude, just do it. Like use a tool like StreamYard, for example, which like 80/20s the whole process of like you can make a podcast out of this. Like they give you the audio. Like if you're not an expert at, editing or getting all your equipment or whatever, just use a tool that can help you like fast forward and then just improve from there, right? Just kind of like get going, man.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when they're like, how much do I need to, research or learn or whatever it's with anything, but especially with like starting a YouTube channel. And you can watch a million videos, you can plan out all your videos, you can write all your scripts, you can figure out all the camera angles and lighting, and you can play with all these setups and keep learning and learning and learning. And you can do all this, and you're just going to delay starting if you ever start. But let's say you do start, but you spend like a year learning all this stuff. I promise you, even after that year of learning all this stuff, your first 50 videos are still going to suck. They're going to be terrible. Like that's just how it worked. I look back at my first videos, even with all my experience on my channel, and I'm like, I'm so unenergetic and I as slow speaking and not engaging. And I'm just like, man, I'm so much better at this whole thing now than I was in a year from now. How good will I be?
So funny, man. Yeah, I have that same exact thought process. So like I've just like my channel has grown so much slower than I expected it to. But at the same time, I'm like, I just see every little video is a little mini asset that's out there. Plus, I've also been growing over the last year. I've really tripled down on my blog business. And I now have like video assets that I can use in the blog. I never knew that when I was originally creating these videos, but now I'm like, wait a minute, this is great. Like now I have all this content that I can pull from. But I do the same thing, man. If I go back, if I watch something that's even 6 months ago or 12 months ago, I cringe myself, and I'm like, dude, like now I get why I haven't grown faster, right? And there's just so many things to always improve upon. But yeah, I mean, I think the difference between, I guess, like people like us and other people is just being willing to like, okay, let me get it to a place where I feel comfortable with it, put it out, and then approve upon yourself from there. Like just keep getting better and making adjustments against your own content,
Yep. Yeah, I watched the early stuff and I cringe, but I've learned to take that feeling and turn it from this repulsion, cringe feeling and turn it into a positive thing. It's like I can look at that and I can literally see the progress. So that gives me so much encouragement for what my next 50 videos are going to look like.
I love it. Yeah, channel it, man. Channel that.
That's right.
Channel that energy. Do you use a tool like do you use TubeBuddy or what's the other one that's like TubeBuddy?
vidIQ.
Yeah, vidIQ. Do you
TubeBuddy? Yep.
Use TubeBuddy? Yeah,
TubeBuddy is a game changer when you're small and looking for search traffic. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, either one. I think they're both great. I just did TubeBuddy. I really liked the way it was set up, and so I pay for that and use that.
Got you. Yeah, I have some version of it. I'm not even sure which which level or license or whatever I have. But yeah, yeah, TubeBuddy, super cool tool. If no one is if you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out for sure. So okay, and then but like on your channel, you're definitely involved in affiliate marketing, right? So you're promoting product. Now, was that your strategy from the jump? Because I haven't gone back and looked at like your original videos. Was that the original strategy from the top to say, oh, I can talk about these products and services, and then I can recommend stuff and then help people, like lead people to, buying decisions or whatever. Was that like your original strategy?
I mean, I knew it was a huge part of this space going into this, but no, I didn't really hit it super hard initially. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I basically just threw a couple of like Amazon affiliate links on there with the gear I was using and stuff, which is not a great strategy because you get paid so little, and if you have no traffic, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I can't remember exactly what the switch was that flipped that when I changed that, but once I figured out, oh, personal, finance, investing, crypto, this is a space. I mean, there's lots. You can make tons of money on YouTube with any niche, but this
Sure.
one in particular, man, companies are willing to pay, to get people to sign up for their products and stuff. They want customers like crazy, and so it's quite lucrative when it comes to affiliates and finding all the programs and stuff that you can align with. They actually like the product and stuff, and then pushing out there, you can actually make some pretty good money even with a tiny channel.
Yeah, that's what I think is really amazing, that I think people overestimate, especially particularly people like my son, who's like, "Cool, man, how many views you get on the video, or how many subs do you like?"
Mm.
That's kind of their ingrained question. But yeah, I think so many people don't understand the different income stream potentials on a channel, and that only one is sharing revenue with Google from the ads that are shown on your videos. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that's awesome too, because people make serious cash from that. But yeah, but having these other potentials, it could be video sponsorships, or it could be doing affiliate deals or whatever. Is yeah, I think pretty awesome.
Yeah, when
Eh,
I post threads on Twitter about my YouTube money journey,
uh-huh.
I almost always say I made this amount of money, but I only have this many subscribers, because the automatic way people think about YouTube is subscribers equal money, and that's
Yeah,
not true. Views equal money.
yeah,
Subscribers. I mean, I'm great. If anyone who subscribed to my channel watches this, I am grateful for subscribers.
right.
But that number is really largely irrelevant when it comes to how much money you make on YouTube. It's all about what your niche is, what your money making opportunities or paths are, what the monetization tools you've chosen, and how many eyes are getting on there, and then how many of those eyes are you converting. So yeah, it's all about the views, the niche, and what the offers are.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I've heard multiple folks with large channels kind of in the last 6 months say, yeah, like subscribers don't even matter. I kind of wonder if at some point in the future, will like would maybe YouTube would even change that and be like, yeah, man, you don't have to subscribe. Like, we know who you are, we know what you like. We'll just serve you stuff, and then it's all about just a channel with views and fans or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that I definitely find that interesting.
And I will say that, like, subscribers, it is a feedback loop. Like, the
Yeah,
more views you get, the more subscribers you get, and the more subscribers you get when you put a video out, the more initial views you can get. It's a great Kickstarter. But with any channel, no matter what size or who they are, they're, whatever. If you have 1 million subscribers, you're still probably only really getting 5 or 10% of those people to click each of your videos. The rest of it's just coming from YouTube at large. I mean, even some of the best people, I don't know of anybody who's consistently doing like more than 20% of their actual audience watching all their videos or something.
got it.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great Kickstarter though.
yeah, that makes sense. Do you? Yeah, or how deep into analytics are you? Are you super deep into your Google Analytics?
I mean, deep enough that I make lots of decisions based off of them. Yeah.
So that's a yes. Yeah. I mean, I would say that as a considerable yes, that you are looking at them and then you're making strategic decisions
Hmm.
based on them, which I think is smart and genius. I could probably do it more. I've made definitely some level decisions on reviewing analytics, and but I could do a better job at that. Do you this is a kind of a random question, but I'm just curious. This is like something I would ask you if we were just hanging out at a table. How do you create your content? Do you use like a teleprompter or any sort of thing, or do you just you have all your info?
Do you think I use a teleprompter?
So definitely not in the sense of reading a teleprompter. By no means do I think that, but you are so educated and have so much information that you're providing and giving. I'm like, either one, you are at one with this information, or two, like you have some sort of like guide or help.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do actually. I use a teleprompter
Okay,
for some of
cool.
my content. But basically, my videos I split into half of them. They are scripted word for word. Like there's
Interesting.
not a single word I deviate from on them. Like what's in the Word doc is what ends up in the final video. And then
Interesting.
the other half are ones where I write a rough outline,
Yep.
where I cover all the major bullet points. And a bullet point might be as simple as talk about this like one word thing, and then I just know, oh, I can talk about that for a while. I can multiple
Exactly.
paragraphs just off the top of my head about that thing. But a huge growth hack on YouTube beyond just search traffic and stuff is like actually like writing out and structuring your videos. Almost everybody hops on YouTube and they pick a topic and they just like wing it and talk about it. And that's a great way to like never have anybody watch your stuff because it's like super not engaging. There's no structure to it. There's no flow. There's no hook. There's no
Yeah.
beginning, middle, end. So if you're not structuring it for engagement, you're messing up right away. But yeah, so when it comes to like reviews of banks, which I'm doing less and less of those because I'm shifting more into just crypto in general.
Yeah.
But like crypto interest accounts or brokerages or investing apps, that type of stuff, the reviews and things like that, those are scripted word for word. I have a teleprompter on the camera and I'm reading it word for word. Now, my earliest videos when I started doing it, it seems stiff, and now I think it's pretty natural where you can't really tell, but maybe some people I'm sure can. And
No.
then
Yeah.
when I'm talking about like my mining setup or my passive income sources or my recent one, it's like I just became a crypto millionaire. That is, I write out some points and I just talk to the camera based on those points. But it still has a structure. So yeah, it's like a 50-50 split. But yeah, use those tools if you that's one of the things I also tell people is when they're like, I'm not comfortable in front of the camera, I'm shy, whatever. I'm like, buy a teleprompter, write out your scripts. It's like a cheat code. It's amazing.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have never used one. I definitely go by the like all my videos have been bullet point type. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's my structure, of my videos, my bullet points. But like, I know I
Straight.
can improve, but I just think I mean, I'm like, hey, well, like, I'm chatting with another channel that's doing awesome. So like, how do you do it? So I'm like,
Hmm.
let me ask you because I see, for example, I'll throw out another channel that you probably know this guy, Graham Stephan.
Hmm.
That guy spits out content, right? He talks
Yeah.
fast. What's up, you guys? And it's a lot of content. It's a
Yep.
ton of information. And I've always just wanted to ask him that. I don't know the answer, but I'm like, I'm assuming this guy has to have a teleprompter or some sort of assistance because there's just so much information coming out.
Yep.
Do you know that about his channel? Any idea?
I don't think he uses a teleprompter. All the
Okay.
interviews I've seen of his, he does basically write out his scripts more or less. They're
Okay.
like really detailed outlines, maybe. He just does. I don't know. He's he's big for a reason. He's awesome at it. He's got tons of
Yeah.
videos. I mean, you can watch his earlier stuff. And you can see, oh, okay, I see the origin here. He was not. He's not a natural with this. It's definitely learned from just doing hundreds of videos and
Yeah.
talking and living and breathing this stuff. But yeah, he's just at the point now where he can write out a detailed thing and talk. I don't know him. I don't know
Yeah.
the actual answer, but I'm assuming that's the case. He's just gotten really really good at that stuff.
But if he writes out a detailed thing, how is he going after that detailed thing? I guess isn't that what a teleprompter would be? Like helping him go over that outline, or you're
Yeah, I
just
mean,
saying
but
he
with outlines and stuff, it's when I do it, it's I have my facts and figures, and I can say those to the camera. I can just kind of glance at them, and then I can
Yeah,
repeat them, and then I cut, and then I go to the next part where
got
I'm
it.
reading the next blurb or whatever. So just some creative cutting and editing. But he might
Got
be.
it.
I don't know. I don't
Which
know.
is, I mean, he does do a ton of cuts, right? So maybe he just
Hmm.
has the same energy and goes through that
Hmm.
content. Okay. Yeah, definitely wasn't expecting to like ask that question. So if people are listening to this and they're like, dude, I don't care. I apologize for everyone for that. But that's a personal question for me because I just found it
That's
really
funny.
interesting, man. I thought it
Yeah.
was good. You mentioned we were talking about crypto just a second ago. So you have crypto, you also you stake, don't you stake some of your cryptocurrency or
Yeah,
no?
so I have a bunch of ways I earn with the crypto passively. Actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow, I
Okay.
think, on
Okay.
all of my crypto passive income. So stay
Oh, I
tuned for
love it.
that,
I love it.
Brooks.
Okay, coming out tomorrow. Dude, I'm gonna put I'll have a link. I'm gonna put a link to that in the description of this video.
Cool.
And because I find that really interesting. That's awesome. That would be a question I would ask you, because I'm like, what the heck is staking? And like I looked it up and I was trying to figure it out. And like if you were to give some layman's explanation of like, okay, cool, you're staking your crypto, like what?
So yeah, staking. I do a few coins that I stake, but
Okay.
staking is an actual function of some coins. So some coins want you to. It's staking is kind of analogous to a bank account, like a CD
Okay.
account where you lock it up for a period of time to earn an extra interest rate or something like that. And you can't access that money. Um, so staking is like you're locking up those coins, and they
Yeah.
are then providing some function to the blockchain. It could be just liquidity of like trading, like having extra out there so people can buy and sell. It
Okay.
can have some other function on the blockchain, but you are locking those up and not able to use them immediately. And in return, they are paying you a percentage or a rate of the rewards that are being made from the coin. There's lots of nuance to that, and lots of
Yeah.
ones do it differently than others. Again, I don't do a bunch of staking myself. I do mostly interest accounts for some of my passive, or I actually do direct mining, or I run nodes. Um, like in the case of nodes is kind of like staking in that you have a set number. So like if you have a crypto node that requires you have like 10,000 of the coin, you have those
Okay.
10,000 coins in a wallet, and it's locked as long as that node is running. You can't spend those coins. And that node is a server out there on the internet somewhere, and it's providing some function to the blockchain. So it could be hosting apps, or it could be hosting a website, or it could just be processing transactions, any of the above. And so in that case, the staking is actually not providing a direct function, but it's just saying, hey, I'm committed to this project. I'm locking up my funds in order to run this thing. That helps, taking money off the table helps the entire economics of the project. And so because I'm doing that, because I'm providing these resources, and because I'm locking up this money, I get paid some reward for doing so. So there's different versions of it, but essentially it's taking your money off the table, and then they're compensating you for doing everyone a big favor.
No, I mean, that's really well said. So I read a few articles and I was like, okay, cool, I'll get that overview. But especially the first description that you gave about it almost being like a CD, like you putting
Mhm.
your cash in there, and then the bank obviously can use those funds, and then
Right.
and you mentioning it making it less volatile as well. Like it means you're not trading the
Yep.
asset or whatever. And so that makes complete sense. I guess I was getting caught up with, again, not just eating the cookie. I was kind of getting caught up with the ingredients in there, because I was like, but what are they doing? What are they doing with my crypto?
Uh-huh.
And I guess you can learn a little bit about that, but that's not as important. It's just about understanding the overall, the overarching concepts, I guess. And then,
Yeah, so
um,
it's not terribly important, but I mean, it's probably good to know what they're doing with the funds. But the cool thing about crypto is if you're using a project that has staking, there's a good chance it's very clearly outlined exactly what they're using the money for, compared to a bank where you lock up your funds for 6 months to a year, and they can be loaning out as mortgages. They can be picking risky investments for some emerging sector or something. You have no transparency into what they are doing with your money when you lock it up like that or put it in your savings account. They're using your money for all kinds of things, and probably some of them you'd be like, please stop using my money for that, but you have no control over it. Whereas at least with crypto, if you choose the project and they are very transparent about it, they have a clear view into exactly what they're doing with your money, which I really like and appreciate.
very interesting feedback. It just dawned on me, Andy, that it just dawned on me that you're the first person I've spoken with about crypto that speaks so confidently about the system. You're not anti the current system per se, but you're very, uh, people like you are going to help this be mainstream because of the way that you are communicating
I hope
about
so.
crypto. Um, I, I just want to rebrand of the word crypto, man. Does it not sound,
Mhm.
does it not sound, it sounds kind of sketchy to me. I don't know, man. Crypto. It just
Yeah,
sounds
I mean,
like,
it'll just be all money at some point. And
very good point.
so
That's a good point.
I I'm not a fan of the current system, but I'm
Okay.
not outwardly like screaming in the streets hatred.
Got it.
Um, but I do think there needs to be a big change. However, I'm one of the people who I think it'd be a bad thing if we had just the entire current financial system crumble and then get replaced by
Yeah.
a digital, crypto revolution.
Got it.
I think there's got to be some way where it's probably where they both run in parallel to financial systems. Probably, I don't know. There's so many people that would just be absolutely devastated, and it's usually going to be your mid and poorer classes of financial folks who are going to be hurt the worst when something like that happens. And crypto is supposed to help all of those people, not hurt them. So yeah, a complete crumbling of the existing financial system overnight, just like the hyperinflated countries and stuff. It's like that's nobody wants those situations. So there's got to be some helpful way we can go forward where everyone benefits, and we get to use these new tools, and these new tools strengthen or slowly replace the existing less than good tools. Yeah, I don't know, some of my viewpoints on it.
That's well said, and I'm glad that you kind of went further into that. What would you say just kind of like the biggest problems with the current system? Like what just maybe some of the big things that stick out to you that you're like, yeah, I don't like these things about the current system that crypto is trying to change, can change, will change. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are many. I could probably talk on that topic for a while. I think some of the things that one of the reasons why I gravitated towards Bitcoin, and why Bitcoin up until recently, because I have several positions that have just like rocket ships. Bitcoin was by far my biggest crypto position, like 80% of my portfolio.
Gotcha.
Is because Bitcoin is it's fixed assets. There can only ever be 21 million of them. It's mathematically provable. There is one, like the world's most powerful supercomputer ever, that is ensuring that it stays the same. Whereas, at least in the, well, most of the places around the world, but in the US, it's like we have the money machines turned on 24/7. And I know the media likes to say inflation is good. I don't buy into that. I think inflation is terrible, especially for the people who make the least amount of money. Everything I look at that shows wages over the years, wages do not keep up with the inflation rate. And your money buys you less things. $1 today is going to be like 50 cents of buying power in 5 or 10 years or something like that. And so I think Bitcoin fixes that problem. It gives you a good place to put your money where it appreciates in value instead of depreciates in value. It gives you a safe place to store and invest your money. And it can't be like the Federal Reserve is a small handful of people who control the entire monetary supply of a country of 200 to 300 million people. And I don't like that there's a few in power that can do that. So I want a system that is fair and unbiased, that can't be controlled, and that is Bitcoin. You can't change it. You can run a node and you can change the code, and you can say, "Oops, it's actually 40 million coins," and every other node on the planet is going to just smite you and tell you that's not going to fly. And that I love. I love that is this very robust, ultra secure, baked in rules system. And I think that because of the digital nature of it, it can change the course of the economies of the world.
Well said, man. No, that's good. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. So there's like thousands, or I mean, there's definitely 1,000 plus cryptocurrencies currently, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through and say, okay, how many have come and gone? I don't know. I guess it's in the thousands.
Tens of thousands. Yeah,
tens of thousands.
It's like
Okay,
13,000 or something like that.
Gotcha. So a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world does one go about picking and choosing what we should be looking at? And do you think that do you play around also with the ones that you're like, yeah, I have no idea if this will ever be anything, but I'll throw some cash at it? Do you both consider it like investing and then gambling, or is it? I mean, how do you go about doing that?
So I mean, my entire crypto investing and position and portfolio and everything, in the eyes of most investors, the entire thing is gambling and speculative. To me, like my biggest position being in Bitcoin, I think I'm playing it safe. I think I'm a safe crypto investor. So it's all about perspective and where you're coming from. But yeah, so basically I would put 80+% of our money into Bitcoin, and then I would put some money, or at least my mining machines, my mining rigs, some of the hash power into very, very speculative projects, moonshot stuff, to where, I'm hoping that one out of every 50 projects like that I do blows up, and it is a very big asymmetric bet. But I'm
Got
taking
it.
a small fraction of my money to do that, whereas a lot of people, it's full gamble, full casino, which is, I no hate from me. You can make your own financial decisions and stuff, but I'm not willing to risk all of our money on those things, even if the upshot is huge. But I am willing to risk some. I'm
Totally.
all about the calculated gamble, the calculated risk, and I realize all of this is technically risky and stuff like that. But yeah, as far as which ones are going to continue to exist in the future with thousands of coins, I think 95 to 98% of all the other cryptocurrencies are going to cease to exist one day. Going to go
Yeah.
to zero. They're going to just developers are going to walk away. Whatever, you take your pick how they're going to fail. But there's only going to be, the world doesn't need 10,000 cryptocurrencies.
Right.
There's only a handful of applications that these things are going to be useful for, and so there's going to be some winners. And I think as far as global adoption and a global reserve asset, global financial settlements, I think that's going to be Bitcoin. I think there's probably going to be some other things happening on Ethereum or things like that to some degree, and then there's some other ones probably doing some utility things beyond that. But I don't know. I can't tell you. I just with my research, my conviction, that's where I put my money into Bitcoin and stuff. And really, when I do these other calculated gambles and risks, it's just to get more Bitcoin. I want these coins to explode so that I can just sell them into more Bitcoin and just keep making my Bitcoin stack bigger. That's my ultimate goal.
Got it. Okay, interesting. And so, and you mentioned kind of like in your crypto portfolio, a big chunk Bitcoin, smaller percentage in others. What about just like of your overall? And you can say, hey, Brooks, none of your business, but like your overall asset classes. Let's say real world, and let's put crypto in a digital. Let's put it in a digital category, and that could be like whatever NFTs, crypto, whatever. Do you have kind of a personal rule of thumb of like say, oh, I'll put this percentage, or not necessarily?
So of our entire net worth, the crypto portfolio is like 65%.
Okay.
It started much lower than that, and it's grown to that. I'm sure it will be even bigger than that in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that. Some people are not comfortable with more than 10% of their net worth into this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely convinced of the future of this stuff, especially, like I said, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so I'm making big bets, and I'm gung ho. I'm ready for the next 5 to 10 years.
I like that, man. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Like if all of crypto disappears, or it's some other different crypto, like I guess that's your worst case scenario.
Yep.
And even then, like, I don't know, what's the worst that could happen, man? Your YouTube channel's rocking. So you're good to go.
So when it comes like emergency scenarios and stuff, I think I'm a big believer in cash flow over emergency fund. Like I have an emergency fund, but I think if you can build lots and lots of income sources and have lots of cash flow, well, then you can deal with difficult situations and stuff like that. But I'm not a crazy person. Like I said earlier, as this bull market, this bull cycle plays out, there are quite a few positions that I will be taking profit on, and things at levels that I've set a long while back.
Yeah,
and some of those profits will be into US dollar, and those profits will go into some dead simple index funds and some real estate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Although I will continue to go forward with a big portion of the net worth in crypto, but I want to diversify into other things because I want to hedge my bets on all sides. What if I'm wrong scenarios? But also I want some just on the ground, like actual physical cash flowing assets and stuff like that. So all that interests me, and I think it's all fun. And so why not take some of this good fortune here and roll it over into some good fortune elsewhere.
Totally with you, man. Side note, I'm a real estate dude. I'm a fan. So if you ever want to ping that, hit me up. I'm a broker. I'm a licensed broker here in Alabama. So
cool.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to brainstorm or with me on that in the future. So the cash flow thing you mentioned, and we're gonna wrap up here in a second because we're like approaching on our time. But like you mentioned cash flow. So interesting because it's definitely preached in the personal finance world to create some sort of, I guess, nest egg, obviously, that you can then draw from forever. I found myself over the last probably 5 years kind of adjusting my mindset into income streams as well. And when you start realizing that you're creating these income streams, especially if they can be quasi passive or operate on their own, in essence, you're creating the income from a non-nest egg, like now, like you're literally generating maybe even more income than what it would take if you saved $5 million or $2 million or $10 million. Like it's really interesting when you start looking at those figures and what amount it takes for you to save up to withdraw whatever 4 or 5% and generate an income that you're trying to generate. If no one's looked into that, I would say start looking into that. That can really change things. Okay, we were gonna talk about Helium. We're not gonna talk about Helium because we're gonna end this. But so let me ask you this, man, Andy. Should I buy one of those Bobcat antennas and start on a Helium project? What do you think? And then I'll make a video about it.
Yeah, if you think Helium has a future,
yeah,
and you think it's a cool idea for a project, then plunking down $500 on one of these hotspots is a pretty small investment.
Yeah,
and once it pays for itself, it's literally passive income. You do nothing. It just sits there, powered on, attached to the network, and it pays you out every day.
It's also content. I think it'd be fun to like grab it and create some. It becomes a mini case study, right? Like for what we're doing. Like
all my Helium videos have been getting the big views on my channel. So yeah, make some content, man.
I got you. And let's see. What was I going to ask to follow up on the Helium? So that's not necessarily new technology per se. Like I actually bought a device years ago that was like sharing internet. It's called Karma. It was like a portable device, and then you could share your Wi-Fi. But I guess Helium, it looks like what it's doing is kind of like it's more about like devices, Internet of Things, like for businesses. It looks like more of a commercial utility that you're helping measure. Is that?
Yeah, they've got lots of use cases, but the one that makes sense here in Austin, because we have the little personal scooters on every single corner, which I think most major cities do now. Like the use case, the business case is many of those currently are using cellular service to do the data and to say where they are and how much usage and report their battery levels and all this stuff. And cellular for tens of thousands of devices in every single city like that is very expensive.
Yep.
And it's also not, its connectivity isn't always super great. And the speeds can sometimes be a little suspect, and location positioning is not super great. So Helium is going to do a network that's a lot cheaper for those companies to put all their devices on and see where they all are and have them all report back. And it's all like user powered and user incentivized and stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's a use case example. It's all IoT, Internet of Things devices. Get them on the network and get them talking to each other.
You have a way with words, man. You just pumped me up a little bit more. I think I'm like, let's go, man. When I get off of this, I'm like, yeah, okay, let me go buy this thing. All right, cool. So let's wrap up, man. I'm gonna let you go. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I've enjoyed connecting with you.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
If people want to find you, man, where do you want to send them? You want to send them to YouTube, Twitter, all the above?
I mean, you can go to yourfriendandy.com. That has my Twitter and my YouTube on it. Yep. It's the easiest place. Yourfriendandy.com.
Yourfriendandy.com. And I'll put a link down to that in the description of the video. And cool. Man, it's been awesome. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a solid rest of your week, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
See ya. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We'd love for you to share it, maybe with a friend, review it, and don't hesitate to reach out and say hello. You can connect with us and see the resources that we talk about at destroytheboxwith.us. That's www.destroytheboxwith.us. See ya.